Choose to be uncommon. Standard over feelings. You've heard me say it so many times before, but today on this Burn episode, we are going to hammer it because it is more important now than ever. Standard over feelings. Don't allow your feelings to dictate how you show up. Welcome back to another episode of The Burn. I am Ben Newman, and you know how we do this every single week. We bring you a story of an athlete, a celebrity, an entertainer, somebody performing at the highest possible level, talking about their burn. You know, why and purpose is not enough. Those things are so important, but it's the burn. It's that underlying fire that ignites why and purpose that causes us to be disciplined to show up to be our best. But there are some weeks where you guys just get me. We call those solo episodes, where there are things that are on my heart, things that are on my mind that I have to share with all of you because I believe that they will make a significant difference in how you show up in life. You know, one of the incredible opportunities for me as I get knocked down in my life, as I get tested, as I face challenge, as I face adversity, is I always have an opportunity and a choice. Am I going to get up or am I going to stay down? Do I have the right mentors and coaches in my life to help get me up? Am I consistently staying connected to my burn, which is going to help me fight on those days that I don't want to do it? You know, just because you may see that I step on a big stage or get to travel the world speaking or work with some of the most elite athletes in the world, you think that means that I'm immune to challenge and adversity? This year has absolutely tested me in so many ways. And I'm open about them. I'm vulnerable about them. All the way from business challenges to a staph infection and having a surgery that ended our unrequired streak of 1,228 straight days of working out. Yet I had my wife for that 2-day hospital stay bring me dumbbells so I could work out in a hospital bed. They'd never seen anything like that. And then when I was in bed recuperating, when I was on crutches, when I couldn't work out, I was still lifting weights. I didn't stop working out. Some of you may call me crazy, but I believe that you have to find a way regardless of circumstance, standard over feelings. And that surgery to remove the staph infection, and a whole nother side note, but they actually told me had the staph infection gotten into my bone that they would have had to have amputated my foot. I ended that right away by sending a text message to my wife with some very colorful words saying, that is not happening, period. But 2 days prior to that surgery, my dad passed away. So here I am at 44 years old, no more living parents. And you know my fight and my passion, my burn is continuing to write my mother's story. I have pain and challenge from my father's life that is now more certain and clear in my mind why things happened the way that they did. But with all that challenge, all that adversity, and I don't say this to impress you, it's to impress upon the point, we are going to have our best year ever, impacting more people than we ever have in a year. Our sports teams performing at high levels, competing for championships. NFL teams that we work with, competing for championships, getting to the top of the league. Players that we work with, 6 captains in the NFL, unbelievable performances. Why? Because they believe what I believe, that no matter the pain, no matter the challenge, no matter the circumstance, no matter the fight that you are in, choose to be uncommon. Standard over feelings. You've heard me say it so many times before, but today on this Burn episode, we are going to hammer it because it is more important now than ever. Standard over feelings. Don't allow your feelings to dictate how you show up. This has to be about you living to that standard, being uncommon, being the ones who say, bring me that adversity and challenge because I know through challenge and adversity, I will get stronger. You will see the real me. And knowing that that fight lies inside of you. James 1:12, right out of the Bible, one of my favorite verses. Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, for when they have stood the test, They will receive the crown of life that God has promised to those who love him. So say, bring on the adversity, bring on the challenge. I believe I can handle it. I believe it will make me stronger. That's what uncommon people do. That's what connecting to your burn will do for you. So if you've been inconsistent in connecting to your burn, I'm going to make sure that our team puts out content before the end of the year to enable you to connect to the burn challenge, the 30-day burn challenge, to reconnect you to that burn that will ignite your why and purpose and cause you to be more disciplined in your action. Because just because I've built up the disciplines to do these things, my story isn't going to matter. It's not going to cause you to show up. You have to connect to your burn and your fire and your passion. And then when you do that consistently, your life changes. The story changes. And then you have to be willing to do the unrequired. The unrequired are the things that other people can't see, they don't want to do, they don't even want to talk about, that the highest performers choose to make a priority. I have seen this come out in so many different ways in my life, but there's something that I want to share with all of you. I'm going to dig in right here. I'm going to dig in because I was so passionate to share this story with all of you, because I know that we are currently living in a world where the media and politics and people want to tell us how to show up and how to behave and what our feelings should be. Don't listen to the noise. Silence the noise, identify your standard, and attack that standard one day at a time. And then you keep stacking those days one on top of another. So the story I want to share with you, it's a story about individuals who things didn't exactly go their way on the timeline that they wanted them to go their way, but they stayed connected to the burn. They continued to fight, and they created opportunity because of a standard and a belief system. In a world where it's easy to throw in the towel, in collegiate football, it's easy to just transfer, hit the transfer portal when things don't go your way rather than remaining patient. People in the corporate world today, they quit and find a new job rather than recognizing the tough challenges that you're going through in your career right now. They're there for a reason, to build your character, to test you, to maybe show individuals that'll be your future business partners, maybe to show the owners of your company how bad you want it. So lean into it. Lean into the challenge, lean into the fight, lean into the opportunity. Don't quit and go transfer. Don't quit and change jobs. Understand that what you're currently going through is going to develop the muscle that you need to attack at a level that maybe you didn't even know was possible for you. So you got to lean in. You got to stay in the fight. You got to continue to throw one punch at a time. You got to continue to stay focused on the standard and keep stacking those days. So here's a story of what, hey, I didn't get it the way I wanted it, but I had aggressive patience, what that looks like. I want you guys to picture something for me, right? So I'm going to paint a picture for you. Jalen Hurts, Tua Tagovailoa, and Mac Jones all warming up together for the national championship football game against Clemson a handful of years ago. Mac Jones is the third quarterback. Tua Tagovailoa, Jalen Hurts' backup. All three individuals in the same picture. Now, speed forward. Mac Jones, first-round draft pick of the New England Patriots, made the Pro Bowl as a rookie. He's had some challenge and adversity this year with injuries, and now these last 3 games, he has turned it on. Highest passer rating in the top 5 in the NFL. 382 yards on Thanksgiving against the Vikings. Tua Tagovailoa, the Dolphins have started 8-3. I've had the blessing of working with the Dolphins for the last 6 years, continuing my relationship with Tua. And Jalen Hurts, the best record in the NFL with the Philadelphia Eagles at 10-1. So all 3 of these individuals, all in the same picture, all starting in the NFL, all doing big things. It's been a blessing for me to have an opportunity to work with these young men. Not only in college with my work at Alabama, but at the pro level. Seeing Mac Jones continue to fight, continuing to believe, seeing Tua continue to do that. Look at all the challenge and adversity and the naysayers that he had down in Miami. But look at what he's doing now. Look at Jalen Hurts. I've had the opportunity to work with players on their team as well as Ted Rath, who you saw at our Mental Toughness Forum. I've worked with him since he was at the Rams, helped the Rams make it to the Super Bowl, the vice president of all of player performance for the Eagles. So whether it's videos that I send to the team, messaging, you see that Jalen Hurts has become their leader, rising up, attacking. Yet in this picture, you had some players, you had Jalen Hurts, who was a starter, Tua that believed that he could be a starter, and Mac Jones, who was told, man, you might as well transfer because you'll never play at Alabama. Each one of those men went on to do extraordinary, legendary things at Alabama. National championships. Games that were out of hand. Tua Tagovailoa with that sweet lefty spin, 2nd and 28 to my guy Devontae Smith to win the national championship. Right, so every man had to have aggressive patience to wait their turn. And then you have Mac Jones, the one who everybody said you'll never start, who then had to compete with Bryce Young to get a starting job. He held on, he believed, he didn't hit the transfer portal, he didn't quit when it didn't go his way. He leaned in, he attacked, and had one of the greatest performances in the history of a quarterback at the collegiate level in the COVID year, leading Alabama to an undefeated record. All three of these men decided to lean in. But one of my favorite untold stories that I'm going to share with you right now, my second year at Alabama, that's the year where many of you remember that Tua ended up replacing Jalen. So how do you respond, right? Tua has that 2nd and 28. They win the national championship. That was the first year that I had been interviewed and messaging was starting to be used in the program. So this is year 2 for me. And all of a sudden, Jalen loses his job to the now sophomore Tua Tagovailoa. How do you respond when things don't go your way? How do you respond when you face challenge and adversity? I walk into the weight room. The team was 4-0. Jalen was the backup. Tua was the leader. It had already been known that Jalen was going to grad transfer at the end of the year. So what incentive did he have to stay locked in and to attack and to be the leader that he was? Most people would have done nothing. Not only did Jalen stay ready physically, but mentally, he stayed locked in as a leader of that team. I remember walking in, there was one of the young freshmen who had showed up late. One of the strength coaches says, go push a plate around the weight room. He gets finished pushing the plate. The strength coach then goes up to this young player, gets in his face, and says to that young player some choice words about the standard at Alabama and how we show up. All of a sudden, I watch Jalen Hurts walk from the other side of the weight room all the way to the strength coach, taps on his shoulder and says, I've got this. And he then speaks to that young man about the standard at Alabama. This is how we do things at Alabama, and this is unacceptable. I would say that's uncommon. Right? Jalen Hurts, his job was taken. He's on the other side of the weight room. Why did he need to come over there? Because it was a belief system, a standard. And even when you hear Jalen Hurts talk today, you see all these lessons, the leader that he was at Alabama, then the leader that he was at Oklahoma, the leader he now is with the Philadelphia Eagles. We all knew it and we saw it because of what he believed and the standard that he lived to, regardless of circumstance, and especially when things don't go your way. So continue to show up. Continue to know that aggressive patience and a willingness to stay in the fight and attack, just like Mac Jones did, just like Tua did, just like Jalen Hurts did. They all wrote one hell of a story at the collegiate level. Wasn't always on their time frame, wasn't always the way they drew it up, but they believed and they kept attacking. It's one of the reasons why these standards that you see and then you can teach and share with others, it's what we believed at North Dakota State when Coach Kleiman first hired me. My first job in college football, 3 national championships. Then we come to Kansas State. You're going to hear this Burn episode the day that we travel to play in the Big 12 championship against TCU. So make sure you tune in on Saturday. We kick off at 11 a.m. Central. for the Big 12 championship. People didn't believe in us, but these young men believed. They stayed focused on a standard. These men have taken ownership in the football program, just like Mac, just like Tua, just like Jalen, just like the companies that we work with that perform at the highest level. They take ownership. They don't make excuses. They dominate a standard. That's why Kansas State is doing what they do, because these players believe, they live to a standard, and they do the unrequired. And they stay connected to their burn. So that's the message that I have for you. Why would you choose to not stay connected to your burn? It ignites your why and your purpose. It causes you to be disciplined in your action. Stop listening to the world that's trying to tell you about circumstance and feelings and all the reasons why you can't do it. It may not be going your way right now. Stay in the fight. Lean into the fight. Continue to live to the standard. Continue to be uncommon. Continue to do the unrequired. Lean in and connect to that burn every single day, and you go write one hell of a story, because it's your story. Keep stacking days one day at a time. Let our team know what more we can do for you. You are not on this journey alone. And continue to stay connected with us every single week for the burn. Share this episode with somebody who needs a little extra fire, a little extra passion, and an example that even if it's not going their way, there's plenty of fight left in you.